Hi, my name is Robin McHaelen. I'm the executive director of an organization called True Colors. If you don't know what True Colors is, we're an organization that does education and advocacy for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, intersex, queer, questioning, two-spirit, same-gender loving, pansexual, flexual, not straight, not labeling, straightish, straight so far, straight with options, straight but stuff happens, gender bending, bi-gendered, pan-gendered, genderqueer, asexual, agender, and other sexual and gender minority youth. You might tell that we work with teenagers. I love to start with the litany of the language just because it sets a framework for understanding that life today is really different than it was maybe for those of us who came out in decades past. And it isn't enough to say it gets better. What we do and what everybody that you'll see in this video is doing is making it better now. And that's really the message. There are some youth for whom it gets better is a really powerful message. There is our youth with a fair amount of support, right? And they have difficulties right now, maybe with family members, maybe with siblings, and that they're struggling right at this moment, but they know that there's a future, college, or they're going to move on and have another space where things get better. That's a great message for them. Unfortunately, there's also youth for whom things don't get better, or they don't get better soon enough to save them. So as we thought about this and what role I could play or how I might contribute to this, I realized that one of the things that I could do was invite everybody who watches this video to recognize that you can make it better now too. That each one of you could make a difference in the lives of an LGBT young person today, right now. And I've got 3 general ideas for you. Number 1, the first idea is when you hear mean, intervene. It's such a simple, it sounds so simple, but it can be really challenging, because I mean that when you hear someone being disrespectful or saying biased things or hurtful things, that you need to say something, even if that person is your boss or your grandma or your weird Uncle Joe that everybody knows how he is, right? That every time we hear something and we don't say something, we have said something. We've said that it's okay. And that's not the message that we want to put out to our young people. Biases are passed from generation to generation to generation. And the way to stop it is when you hear something, say something. Hear mean, intervene. So that's number 1. Number 2 is to make the connections and recognize that intersectionality and all the ways in which people have all these multiple social identities, that all of those identities matter. That there was a report that came out just a little while ago that looked at hate crimes in the US. And when you look at that sort of broadly, one of the things that report says is that the majority of hate crimes are perpetrated against LGBT people. And if you think of that it sounds like, oh my God, all LGBT people are at the highest risk for hate crimes. But that's not accurate. What's accurate to say is that a subset of LGBT people are at the highest risk for hate crimes, because more than 70% of the hate crimes are targeted and perpetrated against LGBT people of color. And that matters. Racism, the lack of access to resources, all of those things combine to making life for LGBT youth of color much more complicated and much more difficult to negotiate than for a white LGBT youth. And so recognizing that there's a connection between all the different identities that people have, and fighting for social justice broadly through Black Lives Matter, through all of the other different social justice movements, impacts all of the children that we meet, including those that are LGBT, and makes a broader difference. So that's number 2. Hear mean, intervene. Number 2, make the connections. Number 3, mentor. And I mean mentor in the broadest way you can possibly imagine. You know, obviously, True Colors runs a mentoring program. We've got 60 kids who've all been thrown away by their families of origin because of their identity as gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender. They need mentors. They need mentors who are themselves LGBT or mentors who are supportive allies. But they're not the only ones who need mentors. We need to mentor people who are just coming along in their understanding of social justice. We need to mentor co-workers who may not understand the intersectionality of the clients that we're working with or that we're serving. We may need to mentor somebody in our community or some child on the street. There's so many mentoring programs. There's business mentoring programs. There's youth mentoring programs. As an adult with resources, each one of us is responsible for reaching our hands out to the young people coming up behind us to make a difference for them. So those are the ways, in my opinion, that Connecticut makes it better now. Thank you.